Greetings, gaming historians, and welcome to Lord of Lore, where we break down the lore and history of our favorite video games and fantasies. And today, we're returning to the world of Amalur to discuss more about the newest expansion, Fatesworn. Now, I would like to apologize for my absence. It's been a busy few weeks, but I also wanted to take more time to play the rest of the game, including side quests, faction quests, and the like. I've already done a review of the game's lore, but now I'm here to give my review of the game itself. Now, fair warning, there are spoilers ahead. Let's discuss. To start, let us begin with the gameplay and what it introduced. As you can imagine, this has been a source of controversy. While there are plenty of people that praise the game, including game review companies and big YouTuber stars, there are some fans who felt that the game did not offer enough to be worth its $20 price tag. But what do I think? Well, I think a lot of fans suffered from what I initially suffered when starting the game. Because it was being handled by a new company in modern times, and the fact that we were told it would offer about 5 hours of new content, I think a lot of us were expecting a smaller but more refined experience. Honestly, I thought the DLC was going to be a lot more linear and a lot more cinematic. So you can imagine my initial disappointment when I saw so few cutscenes and so many non-unique NPCs. I was about to be discouraged, but then I began to notice something. The world was absolutely huge! To heck with a 5-hour content tag, the main story alone will likely take some players more than 5 hours to complete. Then there were just dozens of side quests and new areas, way more than I thought and a lot more interesting than I thought. The world? Oh my goodness, it is absolutely massive and beautiful, made even more stunning by the return of Grant Kirkhope's music direction. And the side quests? There's one where you have to fist fight a bunch of bullies, one where you have to race antelope up a mountain, one where you have to save an adorable bar guest from being slaughtered by cultists. All in all, this was an amazing addition that I think was worth the sacrifice of detail. While it may not have been as refined as we were expecting, it was a lot truer to the spirit and size of the Amalur game we have come to love. Now, on to the next big promise, and that is the chaos mechanic and new chaos portals. Again, some like them while some do not. Many believe chaos portals are repetitive, but that's not exactly a new issue when comparing it to the main game, and the clever use of levers and the sheer size of the dungeons is actually an improvement, at least in my opinion, to the dungeons from the main game. But what about the chaos magic mechanic? I actually really enjoyed it. Even on very hard difficulty, we all know the game gets a little too easy when you get towards the end game, and I even made a habit of not using self-crafted armor so I don't completely bust the game. However, the new chaos mechanic kept things interesting. By adding a new health bar that prevents foes from flinching, players have to be more careful before they just start smashing the attack button. And the chaos rifts that block the chaos portal, though a little repetitive, do give us an excuse to do what we love best, and that's enjoy Reckoning's amazing combat. And for those who do like to play their game overpowered, Fatesworn offered plenty of that too, and I think that's something that has been criminally underlooked. The sheer amount of new effects and passive abilities that have been added to the game is absolutely amazing. There are now armor sets that spawn wolves, shields that double your movement speed when you parry, armor sets that allow you to block unblockable attacks, and that's just the beginning. By crafting this new gear or mixing different armor sets, the game has offered up tons of new ways to play an already amazing game. How have I used this, you ask? Well, by using a Chaos Kite Shield and Goliath armor, I now can parry attacks from giants that I would normally have to dodge, and when I successfully parry, I get a speed boost that can be stacked up to 3 times. Add that to the fact that I already have the Celerity passive, which already doubles my attack speed, I can now swing a hammer around at twice the speed of daggers. I'm freaking unstoppable, and I now have new ways of playing not only Fatesworn, but also older content. Seriously, the crafting and passive effects are phenomenal. Now, despite all my praise, there are a few gripes I have about the DLC as far as gameplay goes. First of all, there are a few frame rate hiccups that were not a part of the remaster's main game, and its smooth combat was one of my favorite parts. Secondly, I was hoping for a few more cinematics. What made this game really stand out from other RPGs like Skyrim was that it had a very cinematic God of War-like presentation, but we didn't get a lot of flashy cutscenes or details that I was looking for. But probably my biggest gripe has to do with the final boss. Now don't get me wrong, the final boss was awesome, fun, and difficult. Even with my OP build, because I didn't absolutely bust the game with blacksmithing, I actually ended up dying a few times, and Telogris' AoE spells made the fight really frantic and claustrophobic, which I enjoyed. But there was a huge missed opportunity. Wait a minute, what's this? This thing that's on the promotional art, and not in the game? That's right, I was hoping we would have another Baylor style boss fight, but instead, this creature isn't even featured in the game. Instead, it's just mentioned in an obscure piece of dialogue as to Logris' pet lizard he flies on. Again, great boss, but I do think they had to cut out a really big part. Overall, Fatesworn was far from what I was expecting, but in the end it was more fun too. While I think most of us were hoping for a more refined adventure, I think THQ made the wise choice of keeping the game open and customizable, exactly as the original game was. So before I go, here's my ultimate review, or rather, reviews. From the developer side, as in the writing and planning THQ did, I have to give it around a 7 or even 6.5, particularly for its ending. We don't get the cool Niskaru monster I was hoping for, and while I'm sure THQ knew what they were doing with the ending, the future of what's happened to Fate leaves a lot of questions. But as far as overall gameplay goes, the game itself, I have to give it a solid 8. Not the most refined, has some glitches, and didn't quite give us everything we expected, but it has a huge world, same awesome gameplay, great quests, and tons of new mechanics and stats that redefine how I play both Fatesworn and the main game. I've enjoyed it, and I'm sure I will continue to do so. And that about does it for today's video. I enjoyed Fatesworn, but what did you think of the expansion? Did it live up to the hype? What would you have liked to see in the game? Leave your thoughts in the comment section below, and remember to drop a like and subscribe so my channel can grow. Feel free to comment what you would like to see next, new videos every week. God bless.